What is up, Maniacs? Welcome to WMMA Mania. This is episode 16. I'm your host, as always, Drake Riggs, here to bring you all the goods in the world of mixed martial arts when it comes to the ladies specifically, from the week before and the week ahead and everything in between. When it comes to the news, you know the drill. Lots to discuss today after a wild UFC 275 event. My goodness, 4 fights, as you can see there on the cover image. Got just one bit of news, and then UFC Austin is coming up this weekend as the UFC continues their traveling around. So that's good fun, plenty to get into. So if you're new or a reoccurring viewer, appreciate you all the same, but don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, follow, all that good stuff on all platforms for MMAmania.com. Hit that notification bell. You will never miss a thing on YouTube when we go live here at 12 p.m. Pacific time every Monday, and for all the other kinds of content that we will provide you. So yeah, my goodness, you guys, what a weekend it was. Lots to dissect. Crazy card. Honestly, best card of the year, I think, in my books. I really enjoyed UFC 275, top to bottom. One of the best cards ever, and it was very recent. Still very fresh, but I was feeling like it was an all-timer, and there have been some very good ones since what I consider the very best, which was UFC 199 in, what was that, 2016, right? Yeah, I mean, that's the GOAT card. Still, I think, of UFC cards, overall, it's up there. Rising 20 is also a banger of an all-timer. But either way, UFC 275 was great. Don't have to compare it to others, but I just couldn't help it. It was a very fun card, despite not like a whole bunch of finishes, right? But all the ones we did get were pretty insane. So a lot to like there. As Jimmy is here, he says, let's go. Rain says, there's only one strawweight that matters. You might not be the best or have the belt. Hashtag Team Magnum. Rue says, hello, good to see you, sir. Citrus says, so psyched for the Whaley win after all the garbage we deal with from the media. All right, so everybody's getting big hyped. And before we start things off with the UFC 275 chatter officially, Alvin, our resident positivity prince and moderator, has a message for everybody as he says, happy Monday, WMA Mania. I was truly honored and humbled to watch UFC 275 unfold from beginning to end. Every fighter there doing their best to showcase a lifetime of hard work. Some won, some lost. However, that's not what matters. What matters is how they bounce back and never give up. Just like we saw with Ms. Zhang and Ms. Jacek and many others on the card, a sport that teaches its audience about character, heart, willingness to suffer, and perseverance despite obstacles to achieve greater success. Congratulations for all those who fought. For Jacek, thank you for an amazing career and always giving it your all in every fight. I hope the rest of the chat can appreciate the level of high competition of UFC 275. My goodness, what a message from Mr. Yakitori. Great way to kick off a Monday in general, with plenty of positivity. So thank you for that, Alvin. And I could not agree more. That card was just incredible. And I don't know how you would not thoroughly enjoy it if you like this sport. And if you didn't, then you need to find a new sport, because that was absolute brilliance. So let's kick things off here with UFC 275, obviously. And we will start with the co-main event, which was a surprise for some. But as I told you guys, and if you were listening to me, not super surprised that Taila Santos put up a competitive fight. And in one judge's eyes and a lot of people's eyes, they think she won. So Valentina defeats Taila Santos via split decision, 48-47, 47-48, 49-46. We'll talk all about the specifics of the scores here in a second. But either way, really enjoyed this fight. Was very intriguing. It wasn't like an absolute war, like all out nonstop action of entertainment, kind of compared to, let's say, I don't know, Whaley Joanna 1, or even that first round. Like, it wasn't, we never expected that kind of fight. But in terms of like a chess match, this was high level stuff. Very interesting. We saw some very rare mistakes from Valentina, which was kind of what put her in bad positions in this one. But Taila hung on the feet, was able to really show off kind of her size and strength to be seemingly a big factor in certain moments, specifically in the clinches, and able to not be muscled around too much by Valentina, and then even hit some takedowns on her very effectively. Like, this was a phenomenal performance from Tyler, even in defeat. Again, I'm not surprised by this. But what I am surprised about is kind of so many people thinking that she won. So, like, as close as this fight was, I guess, comparatively speaking to most Valentina fights, right? I still felt this was definitely a pretty clear Valentina win, and the numbers kind of support that. I mean, when you look at, I think the second round was kind of the one it really came down to for me, which, as we can see here, 64-31 outstriking her. Each got takedowns, and the submission attempts. The one from Valentina there was at the go-go round where she threw that up. Might have been, had to be, right. That was pretty crazy. Um, just either way, even in certain bad positions, like when Valentina had her back taken, she was actually landing some pretty solid, behind the head kind of thumpers there. So, I mean, that really balanced it out in my mind. Yes, back control is a phenomenal position, one of the best positions you can obviously have. But in terms of who was being more effective in that timing, it was pretty even when you consider just how active Valentina was being. And those shots were actually pretty impactful, I thought. And if you're watching, those strikes are very, very interesting and kind of feel different live, like in person. I mean, so what may not have seemed so big on TV right there, even though I still thought they came through pretty good up close, right next to them, those probably were very came off sounding and feeling more impactful to, let's say, the judges and whatnot, which is totally fair. Like I said, that when I saw John Fitch and Nori McDonald live, that was kind of my big takeaway there was like, wow, some of those short shots are actually really, they do more than you think if you're watching on TV. So I didn't quite equate that in this situation because, again, I think they came through regardless, in my opinion. But I think this was definitely a close but clear fight, and victory for Valentina. Once again, I mean, obviously the closest she's had, but yeah, Tyla is legit. Knew that before, despite the spotty record before the UFC. Looked great in this one. And I mean, honestly, if we're gonna be completely real, she was a one-eyed fighter. Like that head clash changed things a lot. Um, right after it happened and the fight continued, like Tyla was getting shots. She was eating shots to that side of her face. So it was like pretty clear. And they did an all right job with the swelling afterwards. But as we found out, the day after yesterday, broken orbital. So that sucks. That totally sucks, especially since it wasn't from a punch or a kick or anything like that. And who knows? I mean, it's safe to assume that it definitely changed things. How much? Hard to say. Valentina is still phenomenal, um, and a champion through and through. But yeah, that was definitely the momentum swing moment, I think. But yeah, this was a great fight. I really enjoyed it. High level stuff. Tyler Santos. You love to see these fighters who kind of get discredited come through. And I know that she was given a lot more credit than most Valentina opponents, not just for myself, but everybody. The odds had her as the smallest underdog out of all Valentina opponents, which is pretty nuts. I wouldn't have expected that despite my own belief in her. But yeah, hopefully she heals up and recovers soon, can get back in there. I doubt she will get an immediate rematch, especially with the recovery time. But maybe one fight away. Who knows? Depending if she goes out and finishes her next opponent like real fast and impressively, I wouldn't be surprised if she would get an immediate, or not an immediate, but a rematch right after that. So flyweight is getting very interesting, you guys. I love to see it. I'm not quite sold that the other up and comers like Grasso or Fiorot, who I'm still very high on her, if they can, both of them really, but if they can replicate what Tyla did, not quite sold on that yet. Because Tyler is quite a unique individual, unique skill set, great fight IQ, as we've always talked about. But it's good to see Valentina be competitive more and more as fights go on, giving the division more hope. And that's motivation for them to get better themselves and feel capable of challenging this unstoppable force. So you love to see it. You love to see it. So I'm curious to hear your guys' scores because, yeah, I had it. Let's see. What was it? I think, trying to remember, I could just pull it up. Let's do that real quick. I'm pretty sure it was 2-4-5 Valentina, I believe. I believe those were my scores. And then so Santos 10-9 on 1 and 3. Let's see here. Sounds about right. Yep, that is how I had it. All right. See, my memory's not completely broken. Let's see here. So Jin says, thank you to Alvin. Indeed. Rain had Santos winning. All right. Jimmy says, did Valentina's lack of wall walking surprise you? Maybe she's not perfect. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is yes, I have said that she's perfect. But when I say that, it's kind of like obviously nobody or nothing is perfect. That is something that I've learned in life, definitely, especially once 2020 kicked in. But she and GSP, in my opinion, are the closest we've ever seen to perfect fighters, undeniably. But yeah, lack of wall walking was a bit surprising there. I don't remember any super clear moments where she was like, at least from the back, which, you know, kind of hard to wall walk from there, had her feet in that direction. But yeah, that was interesting. Makoto says, did you think if Valentina didn't fight dirty, like the low blow, the headbutt, and fence grab? So I've missed the low blow. They didn't show a replay on that, right? That was kind of weird. I missed the fence grab too. So those things I didn't see. Headbutt. It wasn't a headbutt. It was a clash, like accidental. They just ran into each other. Yeah, I wouldn't say that she fought dirty. I'd have to see those again. Obviously, there was that quick break right for the supposed low blow, but I doubt she was. No way she was doing that on purpose. Fence grab, that's a little different. Didn't see that though. I'll need a replay on that personally. I didn't even hear him talk about it. Craig is here. Hello, man. Whaley was incredible. I hope that shuts down the haters. Well, good luck with that, my friend. But good to see you. We'll talk about that for sure. Sharon is here. Said Whaley is such an inspiration. I was watching with a lot of my friends. We went crazy when Whaley hit her with that back fist. Definitely, we'll get into that. Centro says, I thought Santos did pretty well and did enough to win 1, 2, and 3. All right, so that's what it's come down to, right? For most people, is that second round, which I alluded to there. And yeah, I mean, as you can see, the control time 340. What that was the most control time she had in that whole round. But like I said, in terms of effectiveness of the positions, yes, a great control position, great time from Tyla. But in terms of what she did with it, didn't get as close to a rear naked choke as she did in some of the other rounds. Well, as Valentina doubled her up in strikes. So that was kind of the thing for me. That was kind of what it came down to. As Rue also agrees, 1, 2, 3. Where are we? Ghost says, shout out to Valentina Shevchenko. She couldn't beat Santos, who couldn't see. Valentina's greatest knockout artist of all time by not doing much. All right, backhanded compliments there. From a strategic standpoint, not the textbook way to beat Valentina, but she did great. Santos, he means. Yeah, with what she was working with, looked great. Jin says, sorry, Drake, I feel the flyweight only exists for squash matches for Valentina. Well, not true after this one now, is it? And everybody else is pretty fun to watch. As Ghost says, will I be reading his rant? Let me check here in a second. I don't like the negativity, Ghost. You know that. Says Valentina is good, but I don't like watching that tedious style. Fair enough. Gets the job done. Though, as they're asking why he hates her now. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, I see where we're going here. Okay, this is a little bit different than I expected, Ghost. I appreciate that. Let's see. As Ghost says, that was a sensational win by Whaley, but can we not talk about the bad takes people are making about her now and just enjoy her win? It's annoying, and plus, I've already made snarky tweets about it. That he very much has. Also, if you think it's a good idea to disrespect Joanna after that loss, you are not very smart. Yes, that is fucked up. Please don't do that. That will get you timed out or even banned here. No need, especially to knock somebody right after they finish their career. I don't like to talk about pound for pound or GOAT. However, Joanna is one of the best at diffusing pressure. There are less than 10 people in the UFC right now who know how to do that well. Joanna's was sensational in her career, and we learned a lot about technical fighting from her, so let's just wish her well and also celebrate Whaley's performance. Perfectly said. All right, I'm glad that you did say all that, Ghost. That was excellent to highlight. Thank you very much, and we'll get into it. We'll get right into it. And surprisingly, there haven't been, at least I haven't seen so far, too great of pictures of the knockout yet. So this is, I guess, kind of the best one I'm working with here. But either way, Zhang Whaley defeats Joanna Jędrzejczyk via second round knockout at 228 via spinning back fist. My God, absolute insanity. We had two knockouts kind of similar to this, with the Steve Garcia one earlier in the night where he fell forward to well, that was against Mahashate. Great performance by him as well. I like that guy. Yeah, this was crazy. And as I said on fight night after it, I think arguably Whaley's best performance. That's always kind of a tricky thing to highlight with fighters like Whaley, because you look at, of course, the Andrade fight was the quickest, and in terms of that sample size from that fight, that was clearly an amazing performance. And finishing someone like Andrade, that's great. But this one, a little bit more extended, clearly. We saw more out of her, and it was knocking out Joanna, who has only been knocked out once. And Joanna wasn't looking bad. She wasn't looking bad on the feet. But the most impressive thing here, very clearly to me, was obviously Whaley's wrestling and her ability to, not that I'm surprised that she was able to do well in the wrestling, but the fact that she held Joanna down for what had to be more time than Joanna has ever been held down for, at least in some solid positions. Because you look at what the Claudia fight, I think Claudia Gadelha is definitely, oh, that would be close, either the first or the second fight. But she had the most success grappling against Joanna, and Joanna is notoriously one of the greatest, has had some of the greatest takedown defense of all time. Like, it was just impossible to hold her down. I mean, if you got her down, it did not last very long whatsoever. But Whaley did not struggle too much with that in this one. Excellent, excellent first round. Mixed it up very nicely, had some tight exchanges. We got some sweet vintage Whaley sidekicks in succession there, I think, in the second round. Look good. Joanna was fast, landed some good shots on her too, but ultimately this was just an overall very sharp Whaley performance. And I mean, hey, what more can you ask for? I still think that Marina should get the title shot. I'm still all on board with that, but there's obviously no chance of that happening now that Whaley performed this well. So we know that is 100% going to be Whaley versus Carla next. So that will be fun. I'm not super mad at that now after things, but I do still think Marina should be in there. And yes, she had the opportunity to have this fight. So that kind of makes it a little bit different, but oh well. And as for Joanna, yes, as Go said, congratulations to her on a fantastic career. One of the best to ever do it. Great personality, always entertaining to watch. Not surprised that she's hanging him up, but wishing her all the best. She's got a lot going on. She wants to get into like racing. So who knows? We might see professional race car driver Joanna in the next life. Maybe she'll be going into NASCAR. Who knows? But she has a lot going on. She's going to be all right. She's already had a great run, obviously. So doesn't hurt. But yeah, what can you say? And I guess if we were to highlight for Joanna, favorite performance of her career, I mean, it's tough to not say the Carla fight, I think, for me personally. That was just, that was one of the greatest title victories of all time. She looked like the champion as that fight was going down. So that was a classic for sure. Did quite well against Jessica Penne in her first title defense too. But yeah, this was something. Very clever here, as Jin says, amazing. James says, title shot. Rain says, did you think this was as good as Molly Meatball's knockout? Unfortunately, no. Molly's knockout was absurd. And she actually put Carolina dead. Like, Joanna wasn't completely unconscious afterwards, and that was an elbow. That was completely fine. That was one of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see. That was madness. Doesn't take anything away from this one whatsoever, Rain. But if you're to compare, Meatballs was definitely better, I think. Great. It was very impressive. Whaley, timing this as Joanna was coming in. That was very nice. They both have their elements, but yeah, meatballs for me. Jimmy says, was this better than the Andrade fight? Like I said, in terms of performance, it's probably between those two for Whaley's best performances, even though the Aguilar one was pretty damn good too, especially at that time. She's got a good couple to choose from, but I think this might be it for me. This might be the one. You can take your pick, though, probably between that and Andrade. As Craig says, I was thoroughly impressed by both, especially Whaley's wrestling. Yeah, I'm glad that she utilized it. She didn't lie. It's kind of funny, talking about things in the pre-fight, how she said it'd be a waste to not use her wrestling. Could have been bluffing. You never know. But, hey, she went out and utilized it smartly. And we kind of knew this was going to happen, right? Like, it would have been dumb of her to fight exactly the same way. Why not at least threaten Joanna with the looks, which we talked about this last week too. And she went out there and did that very successfully. Not with the looks, but to actually take her down and do very well down there. Some great ground and pound as well, as it got later there. Kimball says, hi, I was speechless after watching Whaley and Joanna go to war like that. Yeah, it was definitely a very condensed version of the first fight in a way, obviously a little bit different, but yeah. As Go says, Joanna was actually counter wrestling well. It's that Whaley was chain wrestling extremely well, like one step ahead. Yes, it was a bit of a chess match there as well, huh? Ghost. Ba-bum, ba-dum. Citra says, I saw that Joanna was training with Kayla Harrison, but do you think it would have been better for Joanna to train with someone similar to Whaley? It clearly doesn't hurt to trade with Kayla, especially for grappling. But yeah, in terms of bodies, Kayla is a lot different of a body than Whaley, and undeniably stronger. So it's like, I get kind of the thought process, but it's also like not as equal as maybe you could want. I don't know. I think that's more of a preference thing. So hard to say. But Ghost says his favorite Joanna performance was her diffusing Andrade's pressure, just textbook how to deal with pressure. Yeah, that was definitely a very underappreciated one. In hindsight, that was the definition of like a bull matador fight. I think we talked about this recently too, but that one ends clearly. Holly and Ronda, those are top two up there. As Ghost says, that performance needs to be looked at by everyone if they want to get better. Love to hear it. Yeah, that was solid stuff. As Rue says, I felt Joanna got really aggressive in the second fight. Smart by Joanna or not? Do you mean the second round or this entire fight, Rue? Because that clearly the aggression led to her downfall with that spinning back fist. But I didn't feel like she was an insane amount more aggressive than in the first fight. I guess towards the end of the first round too, that she kind of was in spurts. It's kind of hard to assess with the different stretches of time, I think, in actual fights. But either way. Okay, yeah, no, you mean second round. Yeah, it cost her. It literally cost her. She was coming in and got caught by that spinning back fist. So not so smart, yeah. As Jersey is here and he says, hi, saw that Whaley was not happy-go-lucky during her walkout, like she looked relaxed, but also focused. What do you think, Drake? I didn't think she looked pretty focused, just completely zoned in to me. Yeah, I didn't notice too much relaxation or anything, but worked out. He says, when I met Whaley, she was always goofing around and happy all the time, so I thought it was weird. Hey, coming off of 2 losses, if you lose this one, 3, and you're going to be to a fighter who's not ranked, not good. It's kind of an important one here for a title shot on the line, all that stuff. As Elle is here, he says, I have a very controversial stance on Glover versus Yuri. I feel Glover didn't want to be champion and told Yuri in the 5th round at the glove touch to choke him out but make it look good. That is incredibly controversial. I did not see any of that. Highly doubt it. Don't think that there was a fix in that fight, especially as it was within the last 40 seconds. So no, I disagree with that. But yeah. And it's not a guarantee there will be a rematch. As Go says, Drake, did you notice that Joanna was the matador in the first fight and then the bull in the next round? Oh, first round, next round. Yes. Yeah, that is a good point. Very true. So I think she probably felt like she had to get it back because she 100% lost that first round much more convincingly than most rounds she loses. And with 3, I think that could have played a factor. She's so used to 5. And if you remember the Claudia fight, she definitely lost, those first 2 rounds, but did not get crazy about things. And this one, a little bit different. So, yeah. Bum, bum, bum. No, these conspiracies, I'm not buying. L. Appreciate the thought, but definitely not. Sco says Whaley's cage cutting was on point, and Joanna's cage awareness was also good. Just outstanding from both, definitely. So, yep, that was crazy stuff, man. Never would have expected that fight to end that way. I mean, a Whaley finish, that's not surprising, but by spinning back fist, my goodness. As Jen asked, why did you want to go ham in the second round? She was doing well in the first. Well, like I said, I think it was she had to have thought like, all right, I very clearly lost that round. We only have 2 more. Yeah, kind of felt like she had to get one back. I mean, he went for a guillotine. He went for a guillotine. He didn't pull guard. He tried to choke him out. So I'm not going to entertain that. No, the fight was just crazy. That's just all it was. It was a crazy fight. That doesn't mean it was fake. So let's not get carried away now. But we have more to talk about this was a bittersweet one for me. So you guys know I love me some Liang Na. I also love Silvana Gomez Juarez. So this was a bummer, but also a great moment as Silvana gets the knockout in the first round at 122. My goodness, this was absolutely nasty. This was an awful, awful performance from Liang Na, as much as that pains me to say. You want to talk about overly aggressive and just kind of sloppy. Went to attack her single legs to no avail. Good defense from Silvana, but it was pretty obvious what was going down. And then she completely ran into a fucking cannonball of a right hand, sprang up, somehow survived it, but then the additional ones behind it were too much. And that was it. So Silvana, an excellent way to win an excellent first UFC win. Yeah, big time bummer for Liang. Has some stuff to work on, clearly, and it's a bummer too with someone as lanky as she is and with the wrestling background, but might need to find a better camp, change things up. Only 25 still, like a lot of experience, but with as much experience to look like that in this fight, not very good. So big bummer for Dragon Girl, but Silvana saves her job, and she is a very dangerous fighter on the feet. You'll have to see it. I mean, she nearly knocked out Vanessa Demopoulos her last time out, got carried away, and then submitted with it. And if you followed her entire career, you know that she's a very solid striker. So awesome to see for Silvana representing Argentina, making them proud there. Very excited to see what is next for her. But yeah, Liang Na needs to go to the drawing board. This was rough. As Go says, that was sad, but Liang Na was in good spirits in Whaley's hotel room. They're like 4 buckets of ice cream. All right. Well, that's good to know. But yeah, that was a bummer from her end for sure. So wishing her all the best. Yeah, at least she was in good spirits, hanging out with everybody. And all right, as we get on to the opening fight of the night, which was very interesting as well, Jocelyn Edwards defeated our gal Ramona Pascal via unanimous decision, 30-27, 29-28, and 29-28. So I'm curious to hear you guys' scorecards on this one because this felt pretty clear to me, but I know a lot of people thought Ramona won. But like the volume of Jocelyn Edwards was absolutely ridiculous in this fight. And specifically with that oblique kick onslaught, I've never seen somebody spam kicks to the thigh the way that she did in just complete and continued succession. A fantastic rangefinder to keep Ramona at bay, no doubt about it. And I mean, that was really the key because as you saw in the first round, once Ramona got in close enough and landed those knees, nearly put away Jocelyn in the first round at the end of that round. If she had more time, maybe she does. So that's a big time bummer for Ramona. Won that round in my opinion, but the last two, no, there's no way that I don't think she won either of the last two. I mean, I hate to do the numbers game here, but I mean, the numbers are pretty clearly in support of her. 52 got outstruck 52-18 in the second round, 71-14 in the third round. She did have a brief takedown, but like Jocelyn was just unloading as many strikes as she could. And maybe not the most damaging and biggest, but they fucking add up when you're throwing that much. And especially, I just can't get over the oblique kicks that she was throwing. Some head kicks were mixed in there every now and then. Nothing super flush, but yeah, pretty good performance from her overall, I would say. And Ramona did a good job getting in early, but then after that, it was a bit of a struggle. As Jersey says, that was insane. Not sure if he means Silvana's or this one. Not sure. As Go says, why didn't Liang Na just get into guard? Yeah, it wasn't that easy. She should have pulled once she got her up against the fence there, I suppose. But that would have been worth trying to get to. As Jimmy says, so sad for Ramona. Yeah, tough way to start the UFC career. Maybe, hopefully he gets another shot. Hopefully. I mean, this was... I think that the Nunes fight was maybe more competitive than people said last time as well, but tough start. Maybe try to get to bantamweight now, as she's been talking about, but I'm still curious to know what's going on with that whole idea, or if she's feeling like it's past her now, but we'll see. As Jin says, is Liang Na and Ramona friends with Whaley? Why not train with her? Well, Liang and Ramona are friends, that's for sure, and I believe they're friendly with Whaley. They've all hung out together on several in Jacksonville. They were there together, and then this time, obviously. And Jin says they were cutting together on Embedded. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that that wouldn't be a problem if they wanted to all get together. So I don't remember exactly where Liang Na is from in China. Let's find out real quick, shall we? Zhang, I believe, is what it says there, according to Tapology. I don't know how close that is to Beijing, or I guess if she wanted to train at the Black Tiger Combat Club, right? Just for a little bit when they're at home, and then go wherever together, possibly could. We'll see. I don't think that'd be a bad move, that's for sure. So either way, congrats to Jocelyn Edwards on this one. And we'll see if she goes back down to bantamweight, which, again, I think the only reason this fight was at featherweight was for Ramona. So that's even more of a bummer for her. But we shall see what the future holds for both of them now. So Go says Zhang and Whaley are good friends. They ate like 4 tubs of ice cream in Whaley's hotel room after the event. As Drew says, is Liang Na UFC ready? I think she is. I mean, if we were to go by her debut, she had some very bright spots in that fight, obviously. But this was just a very, very poor approach and performance from her, undeniably. So give her one more shot, of course, and we'll see what happens in that one, because that's definitely make or break. As Citra says, hopefully Ramona can stay in the UFC. Yeah, because same thing with Ramona there, too. The next fight for both of them is going to be critical. But all right, you guys, that was UFC 275. So feel free to continue dropping questions about the event if you'd like. It's all right. We don't have anything too nuts going forward here to close out the show, but yeah, one of the best events in recent memory, no doubt about it. Stin says, man, Ramona has good striking, but she really struggled here. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that oblique was a game. I don't know why she didn't switch stance, because that would have made that would have eliminated that, in my opinion. Of course, easier said than done, and especially if you're not comfortable there. But yeah, that range find in oblique was just ridiculous from Jocelyn. And she's a longer fighter anyways. Ramona's not the lengthiest fighter as is. As Jimmy asked, did Ghost curse Ramona the last Phantom Punch ever? To be determined, I suppose. But we'll get to the news now, everybody, as we have just one fight. And I actually should have said one fight for the UFC, because we do have a full lineup also announced that we'll talk about right after. But first, Tabitha Ricci is taking on everyone's favorite Cheyenne Vlismas. at a UFC Fight Night event on October 1st. No location for that yet, but it's coming on up. So not mad at this one. Tabitha Ricci obviously getting some momentum gained now. Vlismas has some decent momentum herself. Hasn't fought in a while, though, since the last win. But ready to get back in there in October, which is, my goodness, 4 months away. Right, 4 months? Yeah. Okay, so that feels far away, but too soon at the same time. Ugh. Excuse me. Just thinking about that made me feel old because my birthday's in October, so I don't want to think about that necessarily, but that's life. So, yeah, I'm fine with this fight. Seems like decent matchmaking, taking them both kind of up slowly and fighting opponents around where they are in the division. Nothing wrong with this one. Should be a fun fight. Yeah, got no problems there. Got no problems. As Rain says, do you think this is a setup for Vlismas? No, I definitely do not. I think this should be rather competitive. Tabitha's fantastic on the ground. She chains her takedowns very well off of her strikes. So I favor her in this one, honestly, the way she's been looking recently. So yeah, I don't think this is a setup whatsoever. As what do we got here? Give me one sec. As Jin says, I saw that Marina turned down Whaley for this event. Why not fight her for a number one contender fight? So I actually did talk to Marina. What was it? I think it was one of the sometime last week, because I was curious, like wondering why she was there and if it was for to be like the backup fighter or something, or if she was just seeing the sights and helping Tyla. But she said yes, she was there to help Tyla and didn't want to miss out on any of her training because all her team and coaches were there in Singapore too. So yes, she said that the reason she turned down Whaley was because I think she said the timing of it, in terms of something about, I think it was primarily, I'd have to go back and look, primarily didn't want to fight on the same, the team didn't want Marina and Tyla to both have two big fights on the same card, because then it splits up the focus, I was like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of, those are both very big fights for you. And Tyla's, I think, it's priority because it's a title fight. So that was kind of the reason there. So if they proposed that for a different card, I would imagine we would have got Marina versus Whaley instead then. And that's kind of crazy to me that they even wanted to do that instead of the Joanna rematch, because I guess the timing would still be fine too. I was going to say, then it leaves somebody waiting potentially, but not really. So hopefully we get to see that at some point. As James asks, can Carla beat Whaley? Yeah, I definitely think she can. I don't favor her. I definitely don't favor her, and she shouldn't be favored. But I mean, it's the whole story of Carla's current winning streak is people underestimating or forgetting that she's one of the best wrestlers in the division, and just among women in general. So she can definitely hold down Whaley and do some work there, but that's the only way she wins the fight. The only way. So as Rue says, what did you think of Whaley giving a lot of respect to Johan in her post-fight presser? Not surprised. I mean, Whaley is a very respectful human, and never had any like serious bad blood with Johan. It's just competitive spirit, I think. So yeah, that's totally good to see. You like to see that. As James says, I don't understand why you are so against Whaley getting a title shot. That one win seemed more impressive than the Dern win. You know me, man. I'm all about earning your shots and winning streaks mattering, that kind of thing. So as much as I feel you can definitely argue that Whaley beat Rose in the rematch, she officially did not. And the same can be said for, Marina versus Zhao Nan. And both wins were very impressive. Marina beating Dern, incredibly impressive performance. Whaley beating her right there, yes. But those are just singular performances, especially for Whaley. That is one out of the last 3, which she lost 2 of. For Marina, 4-fight winning streak. I value that pretty well. And it's it's good to see freshness, in the title picture. Not that Whaley versus Carla is a fresh matchup for sure. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, like, she's not going anywhere. Jin says, do you think Marina versus Rose to get the winner of Carla versus Whaley? That is most likely what will happen. We could also see Marina versus, we could see either Marina or Rose versus Andrade. I would assume the Marina versus Andrade is less likely because of the fact that they are under the same management, but still could be possible, especially with the implications. But I think you're probably onto that right there, Jen. As Go says, yes, Carla can beat Whaley, but we forget Whaley now specifically trains for her opponents, which makes her exciting. Yes, I mean, she's always been exciting, Ghost, but yeah, good point. And James says, what else can Whaley do in your eyes to earn another title shot? Well, I mean, let's see here. So right now, in my perfect world, we get Marina versus Carla next. Well, let's see. If we look at the lineup of people, Marina at the top, and then I guess I'd have to look at the rankings, but it'd be Whaley right after. I guess Carla and Rose and Andrade are kind of right next to each other, I suppose. It's kind of gotten a little bit less clear after Marina in my mind, but I think, let's say that fight happened. This one more win for Whaley would be fine. I mean, depending on who she fights, but which you would assume would be. I don't want to see the Rose trilogy right now. I don't know if that you could do it, but I don't know about that. It's tricky. It's kind of tricky. There's a lot of ways to look at things, but I feel like she might end up getting, let's assume she didn't get Carla, which we know that's going to happen. But if you didn't do that, then I guess you'd have to fight like Andrade or Rose. So I don't know, but preferably, I would say one more, James. So I guess it doesn't really matter against who, but yeah. As Sintra says, what do you think of Whaley versus Joanna being so nice to each other all week, but still went to war? Do you find that weird? Nope, that happens all the time, man. That is very normal. So yeah, nothing crazy there. But all right, we'll finish up the news here with the full lineup for Invicta FC 58 in Denver, Colorado on July 20th. Oh man, you guys don't know how happy I am that Invicta is getting out of Kansas City. Rejoice. What a great time to be alive. The Kansas and Missouri athletic commissions are the absolute worst of the worst, complete garbage commissions out of all of them. But don't have to worry about that in Colorado. So very nice. I hope that they can continue spreading the love with their events, as they'll be headlining first with a bantamweight title fight between Tanisha Tennant, the champ, and Olga Rubin, who is making her debut, former Bellator featherweight title challenger as well. And in the co-main events, Katharina Leonard takes on Talita Bernardo. Should be an all right one. Talita didn't have the best UFC run, and Leonard has been all right as of late. Nothing crazy, though. Mallory Martin is back in Invicta. No surprise there after another kind of rough UFC run. And she's taking on Akira Batara, who just made her Bellator debut. But I'm very happy to see this because she fought at flyweight on short notice in that fight against Diana Avsaragova. One of the most aggressive performances you'll ever see, which did not work out for her. But Batara is not a flyweight whatsoever, so she was kind of fucked in Bellator because they don't have divisions below that. So, and Batara's fought at atomweight before, so strawweight here, this should be fairly interesting against Mallory. So, kind of good. I'm happy to see her in Bellator. In Invicta now, which I don't think she's fought in Invicta before. Liyana Perosine's back, had that fantastic performance last time against Janae Samaranjan. Very excited to see, and taking on someone like Christina Williams. Very fun matchup. Another former Bellator fighter at flyweight. Amber Leibrock is also back. She takes on Morgan Fryer, so That's fun. It's been a while for Amber, and she's obviously no longer in Bellator either. So look at all that Bellator alumni on this card. Even in the main event, yeah, it's all over the place. And Leonard was in Bellator too recently, wasn't she? I could be wrong. I feel like she fought at featherweight for a fight. And then Autumn Norton taking on Maria Jusic. I'm going to assume that's how you say that. But yeah, pretty solid lineup. I like it. You know, a lot of familiar faces, obviously. So yeah, not mad at Invicta 48. And I'm just so happy that it's in Colorado. That is my big thing. You could have put the worst fighters ever on this card, and I still would have loved it because it's not in Kansas City. So thank you so much, Shannon. I'm glad that you're moving around a bit. And I appreciate you, Kansas, for trying open scoring, but that doesn't make your judges less shitty because they suck ass. Sorry to say. Not really. Do better. You're playing with fighters' lives here. Do better. As Go says, I can answer Cintro's question. If you've ever fought anyone you respect, you fight as hard as you can with them. There you go. Yeah, because you know how good they are. You want to make sure you're doing even better. As Jin says, do you think Whaley would take down Carla, or after seeing Whaley do to Joanna, would she do that to Carla? I think she could. And I don't think she'd have a problem trying to do so. But it's like risky, you know, you're risking giving Carla a chance by doing that. Like Whaley should just try and, you know, hone the defense. Doesn't hurt to still work on the offense, of course, but then you're presenting the opportunity for Carla to work in that world where she's best at. So that's a gamble, and it's an unnecessary risk, in my opinion. But could she? Of course. As Go says, Drake, you said Whaley was always exciting, but did you forget the tentative fight she had with Taylor and Torres? I love Whaley, but let's be objective here. I enjoyed both of those. I did enjoy them both, honestly. Maybe not her most exciting fights for sure, but yeah, I enjoyed them, especially the Torres one. I didn't think was bad whatsoever. I haven't watched the Taylor fight in a while, of course, but yeah, those were clearly definitely not her most exciting ones, Ghost, but I still enjoyed them. I'm pretty easy to please for the most part, but yeah. Owen says, I'm fascinated by Invicta. It allows up-and-comers to showcase their talents. Sure does. Rain says, how would Panda do against Magnum? Man, I would love to find out, but different weight classes as well. I mean, Zhang could... Oh, actually, well, no, she did make a strawweight 115 for that fight with Angela, right? The rematch. So never mind. Yeah, they could make that happen. Yeah, it would... I think she could do well. She could do well, but I think the grappling would probably be that X factor, since we saw how the Angela Lee fights, both of them, played out in those departments. Whaley would probably capitalize on those, even though Panda has been working on those areas since then. What those fights were 3 years ago now. Crazy. It'd be really fun on the feet, though, man. That'd be a wild fight. That'd be a wild one. And Go says, I spoke to Whaley about those, and Whaley didn't like them. Well, of course she didn't like them. She loves to get the finishes. I know she doesn't like them either. But yeah. So Cintra says, Carla a better wrestler? Yes. I haven't seen chain wrestling from Carla. She usually just tries her blast, double, or single, but I'm not Go, so I don't know. Yes, Carla is, like I said, she's one of the best wrestlers in the on the roster. I mean, if you look at how she specifically wins fights, people generally cannot stop it. And yeah, she doesn't do anything super fancy, but it works. It's effective. It is very effective. Unless you're Tatiana Suarez. So, but who knows when we'll see her again? That'd be something. Let's not get into Tatiana talk, but I had to mention it. She's kind of the whole wrench in the potential plans here, depending on if she does come back, how and when. So, but anyway, you guys, that's the news. So we will move on to UFC Austin as they're heading back to Texas, which is another not so great commission. Should be fun. But yeah. And Go says that's where we're going to fight. We don't know yet. All right, there we go. Always good to get answers. So we have just two fights here on UFC Austin for the ladies. And we'll be kicking things off at strawweight, opening up the night once again as Maria Oliveira takes on Gloria de Paula. I almost just shared my email. That would have been an accident. So, yeah, this is a fight where Maria Spider Girl. I didn't know that was her nickname. That's fun. Big, kind of interesting odds here. Not that I don't also favor Gloria, but minus 260 favorite to the plus 210 underdog. Seems like a fairly wide gap. But again, I do like what we've seen from Gloria, despite the losses and the matchups. Of course, with Jin Yu Fry, she was doing very well in that fight on the feet, working her Muay Thai very nicely, but then essentially lost because she got taken down. Jin did very well with her grappling in that one. Against Vlismas, just a complete rookie mistake, as we know. Tried to get up and got head kicked. Terrible timing. All that kind of fun stuff. Last fight against Diana Belbita. Defeated her by unanimous decision. I don't quite remember if that was that the controversial one. I might have scored that for Diana, but it was close and was very competitive. But from what we've seen so far from Gloria, her weakness is definitely her takedown defense. But from against someone like Maria, she's not going to have to worry about that because Maria also struggles in the takedown defense department and will certainly be looking to strike. So this fight has potential to be pretty fun on the feet, but the X factor here, I think, will be that Muay Thai from Gloria. She can get her in the clinch against the fence potentially and let off. But now in terms of the actual reaches, it's not too different. I would have expected Maria to. She fights long, looks long in there, but same height, 5'5", and then just a 1.5 inch reach advantage there. So this one I expect could be pretty fun while it lasts, but I do, again, I think that the advantages are slightly in Gloria's favor here. And I mean, hey, honestly, since both of them are not the strongest in their grappling defense, they should try and take each other down because they might not be the best offensive wrestlers or grapplers, but it might not matter when the defenses are so low. But on the feet, I think it should be fairly entertaining. See how it shakes out there, but I do give the edge to de Paula. As Ghost says, that's why you can't say that Carla's a better wrestler. It's how the skills of the two match up. Well, I disagree with that because, I mean, look at the accomplishments and the utilization of that skill and against who she's utilized it against over her career compared to Whaley. Like, there's not much debate you can say from what we've seen so far until they fight. And then even if they do fight, people will still argue that, who the better wrestler is there. Like, I guess an example could be Jones in DC. Like, people still might say DC just because of all his accomplishments and background and all that, still a better wrestler than John Jones, even though John did out wrestle him in, some moments there, specifically in that first fight. I don't know. I think that's not as up for debate as maybe some other comparisons. But Jin says, should Suarez fight Whaley after 3 years removed? Can Whaley's improved grappling for fight ready help her against Suarez? Certainly it would help her, no doubt. But should Suarez fight her after 3 years removed? No, she should. I mean, man, we got to see what kind of Tatiana we would get if she does come back. I think she should fight maybe somebody like Tisha would be a solid comeback fight and a decently favorable matchup, I think. But yeah, of course, Whaley's improved grappling for fight ready would help her, no doubt about it. But Suarez is obviously an absolute wrestling monster. At least she was. To be determined. It's interesting as well. If we do MMA math, Carla failed in all her takedowns against Joanna, and Whaley absolutely crushed Joanna in wrestling in the first round. And isn't Joanna a legendary anti-wrestler? Yes, this is true. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. Of course, MMA math is always tricky. And devil's advocate we could play there would be timing difference. even though I don't know if that should come too much into account in that case. And I mean, with Carla, again, it's a lot easier, I think, in the case of Joanna to defend against someone like her who, that's all you have to worry about. Again, like Carla's boxing has very slowly improved and it's not great or anything since that fight. But with her, you only have to worry about that one thing. With Whaley, you have to worry about more things, which could have proposed more problems for Joanna, obviously. But yeah, kind of how I look at it. And Jim says, I really want to bring up a bad take and get your thoughts, but if you guys find it annoying, then I will not. I guess it depends on how bad it is. But if you know it's bad already, and depending, you be the judge, Jimmy. All right, I'll let you be the judge. Go says, but Drake, the John Jones example proves my point. The accomplishments don't matter. What matters is what happens in the fight. No, yeah, that is true. I don't know. Well, that's why I said at present, I think Carla, certainly, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And even let's say they go in there and they fight, and let's say no wrestling happens, but Whaley wins, like she knocks her out in, let's say, a minute. That doesn't prove she excuse me, doesn't prove she's a better wrestler, which I don't assume that's what you're saying, but some people are crazy and might go that way. And James says, should Carla box with Whaley? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That would be a terrible idea. If she wants to lose, for sure, then she'll do that. But I don't think we have to worry there. Okay. Last fight. Last discussion point. At flyweight, Jasmine Jasdivigius welcomes Natalya Silva to the UFC. And I got to apologize beforehand, you guys, but I did not get any time to do research on Natalya Silva. I was planning on it, but did not get around to it. So I am completely unfamiliar with her, I believe, at least from her name. And I know we talked about her when this fight was announced, but on a good winning streak here. Armbar in the last fight, arm lock before then, jungle fight. Both of those, yeah, that's good. Another submission. So she's got some good submissions here, but level of competition is obviously relatively low aside from that last one in terms of experience. And it was quite a while ago, 2 years and 4 months. So Natalya Silva, potentially rusty going into her UFC debut. That's no good. Still just 25 years old. She has no arms, according to Tapology, but she is 5'4". So I guess she automatically is going to lose unless she's a great kicker. And she's been managing to pull off these submissions unless she lost her arms in the 2 years and 4 months since then, since now. I joke, but odds here, very clear favorite for Jasmine, which is fair. She has looked awesome as of late. Great win against Kay Hansen in her debut. Really strong stuff against Palastri. Really good, well-rounded performance. Great ground and pound in that first round, particularly Ashley Dean before then. Split decision to Elise Reed, which I didn't see that fight, but I saw people talking about it and saying it was kind of controversial. And as you can see, it was a split anyway, so one judge thought that she won. Golfin before then, good stuff. So yeah, Jasmine, regardless of not knowing who Natalya is, even if we did know who she was, if I knew who she was, apologies, you guys might, she would still likely be the underdog. Unless her submission skills are that brilliant, but just going off the record, that shows you what we need to watch out for. And Jasmine, good enough striker, and I think her grappling she's a very well-rounded fighter, out of Canada, 33 years old now, kind of one of those older prospects, but definitely still a prospect. She can kind of do it all, and I don't know if I'd say she has one area of strength particularly. I mean, her top control and ground and pound is very good, but she's pretty sharp on the feet too. Nice and tight combinations, tight technique, I guess you could say. But so yeah, I guess in her best interest, it would clearly be to keep things on the feet this time around, but we'll have to wait and see. So that is that one. I guess that's about all I can say about it, really. As James says, actually, I meant, would she box by timing the step of Whaley, even though Go said Whaley and Volk used that strategy. It worked against Rose and Carla won, so it should work with Whaley. I feel like not necessarily. I just, I don't know. It could, but like, I just don't think Whaley has anything to fear from Carla in her offensive striking department. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Could. She very well could. As Eunice says, hi, Drake. How impressed were you with the use of Whaley's elbows? That short elbow she throws when Joanna was throwing knees that isn't taught in my class. Yeah, I know. That was I just remember seeing the one. She had the one on the break there. And I was like, oh, there we go. Some vintage stuff there. Very nice. Yeah, I'm always love Whaley's. I love any elbow, but you know, when somebody who uses them as frequently as Whaley generally can and will, love to see it, man. I'm all on board with that. So yeah, that was definitely nice. And yeah, not typically taught in classes, a little bit dangerous to utilize those when training, as we've discussed in the past. As Jersey says, what do you think of Whaley's call out of fighting in Abu Dhabi, a neutral location? Would it be better if Whaley fights in Singapore? I don't think it matters. I mean, she got a great response, great reaction from everybody. They were cheering her on. It was really cool and nice to hear. Not that they were negative towards anybody. Singaporeans, fantastic people, great country. But calling for Abu Dhabi, I don't think the neutral location is so much of a thing. Like, I understand the idea behind that, you know, kind of maybe more enticing for Whaley, I guess. I don't know. I mean, she mentioned it, but I think about that more as just the timing is good because what they're going to October. So again, 4 months from now, that's totally fine. They both are nice and healthy. And that's a big card. The Abu Dhabi cards are always big pay-per-views. So I think that all makes logical sense outside of location being where it is. And Jimmy says the take I saw was that Rose should fight Whaley for the number one contender spot. Yeah, that's not a great one. That is not a great one at all. Not a great one at all. Yeah. Don't like that. Don't like that. Sindra says Whaley was training in Thailand. How did Henry help for her camp? I think that I think Ghost might have told me, but I think they were doing, you know, some virtual Zoom type stuff maybe, but he clearly wasn't in the camp and didn't travel there or anything. But yeah, I think just kind of verbal help as far as I know. But anyway, that was UFC Austin with just those two prospect fights, no doubt. Maria Oliveira and Gloria DePaula opening things up. And then at flyweight, Jasmine Jasdavicius versus Natalya Silva. So that should be good. And yep, there you go. Video call with Capitan and Henry. So yeah, there you go. The power of the Zoom and Skype machines. So, all right, you guys. Well, I didn't quite expect this episode to be ready to be done by now, but I think we can wrap it up there. So, but real quick, as Jen throws in, was Joanna's distance striking not good? I mean, again, she was maybe a little bit more aggressive in some areas than typically is, as Go said, how it changed from Matador to Bull. But I don't know if I'd say it was not good. Like, she still landed some good, solid shots on Whaley in that fight. I'm curious to see the stats now because I did not pull those up, and I typically do not for finishes, as you guys have probably noticed. But let's see exactly how well Joanna did do it, at least in terms of strikes landed here. And it was a bit as I would have expected. Let's see, is it up? Whaley outstruck her 72-23 in the first round. Of course, plenty landed on the ground there, obviously. 239 of control. But then in round two, 22-21, it was about as even as it can be with that one difference maker. How kind of funny is that? It was completely even in the strikes. And then Whaley landed the one that ended it all. So I know that doesn't exactly answer the distance striking, but I was saying that she still did pretty well regardless. And Go says, yes, Drake, how can Whaley get better if she doesn't brawl? Wait, are we talking about Joanna or Whaley here? I'm all confused now, but either way, was a fun rematch, I would say. So, yeah, memes a bunch, but all right, you guys, I think we can wrap it up there early. Don't forget, follow, like, share, and subscribe on all the MMA Mania platforms. I am at Drake Riggs _ on on YouTube, Drake Riggs, but Twitter and Instagram, if you care to indulge on those platforms. I will be going to Atlanta tomorrow morning for PFL 2022 PFL 4, the next event. So you guys can look forward to all the coverage here on the site for that. And then got some interviews coming out as well. Spoke with one of the fighters before this week. The Canadian gangster, Olivier Aubin-Mercier. We'll be dropping an interview with him at right around the top of the hour-ish. So look forward to that. Good stuff with him. As he gets ready to take on Raush Manfio, the champ from last season at lightweight. Good chat. And I also spoke to Emily Ducote recently, the now former Invicta strawweight champ, as she gets ready to make her debut at strawweight in the UFC against Jessica Penne, July 16th, UFC Long Island. So that'll be fun. It was a good chat with Emily, as always. She's great. We'll be dropping that one tomorrow around the same time as the one today. So look forward to that. And I got some other stuff in the works too, but it's about that time, getting busy. Broad Horizon episode 6 is also in the works, as it is the week of the match. And Horizon 36 is coming up start of July. So yeah, lots of things going on, people. It is madness. It is madness. Oh, all right. I missed the joke, Ghost says. Yeah, definitely did. It's been a while. It has been quite a while. And James says, can you interview Whaley now that she's not in camp? It would probably be easier. I will try. I probably should do that. I should try. And I'll tell you guys, I was very surprised to see that Whaley was not on the MMA Hour today. I would not be surprised if Ariel has her on Wednesday, just because I know he is somebody who definitely does like to give Whaley some shine. And I'm sure that he tried before the fight, but maybe the camp, like you said, was a big thing. We saw how focused she was walking out, but yeah, I will try as well, James. Not a bad idea. As Cintro says, yes, can you interview her now that she's not busy? I'll try. I will try. I think the chances are definitely always better out of camp, even though, according to some sources, she's already training again like an absolute psycho, but not in camp. So yeah, I'll give it a whirl. Hopefully we can figure it out. Yeah. And Ghost also mentions, guys, think about what she's gone through. Would you guys want to be interviewed after being called names? Yeah, but not by me, Ghost. Come on. So I will try. No promises, of course. It's always tough, but see what we can do. So, all right, you guys, on that note, we will wrap it on up. Appreciate y'all so much. Happy Monday. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Great week. Enjoy UFC Austin and all the other festivities. And we'll see you next Monday. Same time as always. So thank you so much, you guys. Stay safe and stay sane. Peace out.